was listening to Honey by Kehlani, and there's this one line that kind of like sparked a little conversation in my head that I kind of want to get out of my brain. And it's the line where it says, I like my women like I like my money. Green, a little jealous. And it just kind of like reminded me of how ugly that is, but also how bad habits from your exes kind of stick to you, even if you don't want them to. I always have this idea of thought processes and just kind of like navigating through life where you have two brains essentially. One is your logical brain that requires thinking via facts and like concrete evidence. This is where like you put your values into words and things like that. Then there's your emotional brain, which uncovers all of the emotions like physically that you feel. This brain goes through happiness, sadness, anger, crying, all of your emotions. So I say that these are two different things, because you can think something logically and you can know like that logically this makes sense to you, but your emotions are a whole different story, and a lot of the time your logical brain doesn't coincide with your emotional brain. So on the topic of obtaining bad habits and seeing the two logical and emotional brains going together to try to figure yourself out. So I picked up this really bad habit from my past relationship of like being a really jealous person, when prior to this relationship I was not a jealous person whatsoever. But this is a bad habit that I picked up, and I notice it and I don't like it when I'm in situations that would provoke jealousy, particularly in my current relationship. When things happen, or I don't know, just like things that would provoke jealousy come up in conversation, my bad habit immediately like gets me red hot mad, and for like a second I'm like upset, beginning to get jealous, and then that's where like my emotional brain takes over my body and I'm just like pissed, you know? But I feel that for a second or so, and then my logical brain starts to wake up and kick in, and I have to constantly remind myself that you are not your feelings, you are not your emotions, you're like not a bad person. I just constantly have to remind myself that you're safe, you're okay, no one is trying to hurt you, you're with someone that you love that has your best interest and wouldn't do things to be disloyal to you. And I have to constantly remind myself, like in that second of hot anger, hey, you're not in like a situation where you have to like defend yourself all the time and always be like ready to fight and like in survival mode, you know? It gets exhausting to like constantly have that conversation with yourself, but I think that like the mere fact that I see that that is not a good quality that I want to continue to carry in myself and in my life, and I see how it has hurt me in the past and how it will continue to hurt me if I continue on a bad habit, it just makes me feel like better that I understand that that's not something that I want, and I'm actively doing something to work on it. And even though like I have to have those conversations with myself a lot and like be inside my head a lot to make sure that my logical brain and my emotional brain are on the same page and I'm not like acting out of bad habit or acting out of situations and places that I no longer am a part of, you know? It just makes me like really happy that I can identify that and kind of help myself navigate out of the bad habit. And sometimes it's more than just like, hey, you need to snap out of it. Sometimes it's more than just saying that. Sometimes it's like constantly, this isn't the situation at large. This person isn't out to hurt you. And I calm down. And then like minutes later, it resurfaces of the jealousy. And I have to talk myself out of it again. And it's just a constant battle of having to have those conversations with myself and getting my two brains on the same page. It's just kind of like a light bulb that went off today where I like heard that lyric and I was like, oh my god, that is so ugly. When like in a stage of my life like a few years ago, I would like be like, no, that's true, that's what real love is. I'm glad that I can identify changes in my character are not permanent changes. I'm always very malleable. I'm always very open to growing as a person, and it's not a path that you get to and once you like finish it, you're a great person. It's something that you constantly work on. Your goals evolve and change in who you desire to be. It's hard. Some days it's really hard, but some days it's a little easier. It's like exercise. You have to keep doing it and doing it. It's a muscle you have to build to be empathetic. Most people's intentions are not bad. Most people have really good intentions. It's just like the delivery and like how it gets communicated and goes through communication channels and comes back to you, that you interpret it into something else. Being able to pick out your emotions from what you logically know to be true, it makes your life so much more meaningful. It opens you up to receiving and giving love in ways that you never thought possible before. I would have never dreamt I would be able to like grow, recover, expand. I really think that when you're open to learning something new, the directions and the process unfold. They've always been there, but you've never been ready to learn and grow until this moment. And once this moment arrives, you're suddenly gonna clearly see what it is that can help you change. It just made me really happy that I'm finally able to listen. I owe it to myself to be kind and really patient. That I'm taking a while to unlearn bad habits or things that I don't want in my life. But that's okay. Being a person of like growth and change does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen as fast as you want it to. It doesn't happen how you think it's gonna. It's just all a process, and you gotta be ready with open arms to just take whatever comes. There's good days and there's bad days, but the most important thing is that you're trying and you're taking steps to better yourself. And that's all that matters. I just like wanted to get it out of my head. I don't know, if you are struggling with things like me, let me know your tips and tricks. I'm super willing to learn from any teacher that may come my way, you know?